Well, John, let's start from one of those. It's good to see you, my friend.
Always good
This
to
is
see
going to
you.
be the debut of GuitarTown TV, or a little sort of guerrilla internet thing for just getting together and talking to musicians, some of the great Nashville musicians, people who live here, people who work here, people who tour through here. And you've got enough.
I'm all of those things.
You're all
I
of
used
the
to
above.
live here, I work here, I tour through here, and here today, well, it's summertime right now, so I just was here playing a concert in the library, National Public Library, a nice noontime concert with my bluegrass band, which is called J2B2.
Which features?
Herb Peterson on banjo and vocals, of course, and John Randall on guitar, and Mark Fain on the bass. And I play mostly the mandolin, some guitar as well.
And it was a great concert. It was just beautiful. The library does a series of concerts here, and that's really cool.
Yeah,
They support
nice,
it.
all summer long.
Yes, and it was great to have you guys. And you're going to be playing at the Opry tonight.
Tonight at the Grand Ole Opry, it'll be our second time there, so we're really looking forward to that, excited about it. And then at the Station Inn tomorrow.
It'll be great. So all of you, when I get this all edited and ready to get up on air about 3 months from now, make sure to set your time machines back.
I go back and cover
And
these
see you
gigs.
tomorrow night. For people that don't know you, John, you played with Desert Rose Band, Elton John, Helicasters. You've got your Gypsy Jazz, John Jorgenson
Quintet, yep.
You've got the J2B2, R2D2 band.
Yeah.
Kind of your bluegrass all-stars. You've been with Helicasters.
The Helicasters doesn't really exist as a working unit anymore. We kind of stopped that in 2000. And then in 2011, we thought we might try one show just to see what it was like, and we did. And it was okay, you know. But we haven't done anything more since there, so it's not really an active band. Desert Rose Band is a little bit more active, actually. And
Just
we
get
do
back
that
to
sometimes
Sweden.
with
Was it?
Norway.
Norway.
Yeah. More often we do a Desert Rose acoustic shows, which is how we started as a band. We started as a 4-piece acoustic band with Chris Hillman and Herb Peterson and Bill Bryson and myself. And then we kind of expanded into the full, country rock lineup with pedal steel and drums, with your old friend Steve Duncan on the drums, and J.D. Manus on the pedal steel. And we still do that. That's what we did in Norway, but that's a little bit more rare to get gigs that are kind of high profile enough and big enough to get all the 6 members where we need to play.
Yeah. What is this fascination, or do you find there's this fascination over there with country music? I mean, it just seems... I know
They
some
do
people go over
love the
there.
country, yeah, they do. They love it in Norway. I didn't realize, people told me that the Desert Rose Band was really popular, but we'd never played there, so, I didn't know that, but they knew the songs, they knew all the songs, and they were really excited, so.
Sing along, they take their sleds to get down to you, or whatever. Their little,
No, it was
their little
beautiful.
ski...
Such a, well, I'm Norwegian heritage, so it was pretty cool for me, and part of the festival.
Jan Jorgenson.
Yeah. Part of the festival was a performance in a church, an acoustic performance in a Norwegian church. And it's more for the community, that one, than the festival is. And it's really popular. I guess it sold out like a year in advance. And we were playing, I played both with my bluegrass band and also with Desert Rose Band acoustic. And as I looked out to see all the faces, I saw my ancestry kind of in play. It was really cool. Because you just don't see that, like not a ton.
My
of,
gene pool.
Yeah, you don't see a ton of Norwegians, unless I guess you're in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota, don't you know? Or Wisconsin. Yeah, that was fun.
Well, that's great. How long have we known each other?
I think we met in the 80s sometime, I think through Steve Duncan. But the first time I saw you play was 1974, summer of 1974. Probably July, probably midsummer, July at Knott's Berry Farm. Rick Nelson and the Stone Canyon Band. With you and Rick, of course, and Tom Brumley on the pedal steel, and
Jay White was
Jay White was the bass player, and don't remember the drummer. But then the next time I saw you was, I don't know, a few months, 6 months later or something like that. And by that time, Steve Duncan was a drummer, even though I didn't know who he was yet.
And you guys wound up hooking up with Desert Rose Band, and he was in the Helicasters too.
Yep. Yeah, we played so much together over the years. And I met him on a gig, a singer named Kitra at a rockabilly band called Kitra and the Cobras. And I was substituting for Jeff Ross, another guitarist, who was substituting for Johnny Meeks from Gene Vincent's Blue Caps. And so I was like the sub of a sub. But anyway, we played the first set, and I thought the drummer was so good, and then his feel was so great. And at the break, I said, "Man, who are you? Where did you come from? You're amazing." "Well, I used to play with Rick Nelson." I went, "Oh." And he just had a tiny kit then, just like one weathered bass drum and a rototom and a snare drum. And I looked at that bass drum and I went, "I think you used to have a whole big giant set of drums like that, right? Slingerland, double kick, and all these toms." He said, "Yeah, I did." So I think I saw you when it was brand new.
Gigs, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that kick drum was the only thing left after that. But anyway, Steve, that's when I met Steve, and not too long after that, I had a band called the Cheatin' Hearts, and Kitra was the singer, and Steve was the drummer, and Bill Bryson was the bass player, and he eventually was in Desert Rose Band as well, and Sneaky Pete was the steel player from the Flying Burrito Brothers, and at our first gig, Albert Lee came and sat in with us.
Wow.
And Kitra also introduced me to Jerry Donahue, who I ended up, so she introduced me to more than one person that I ended up being in bands with. So
Yeah, there's a lot of ricochets. Those were the days where everybody was doing little spot gigs and picking up things and working with people. And I put in a historical note. John and I said we've known each other for decades, and I think it was about maybe a year or so ago, and I kind of bumped into you at yet another NAMM show or something, and I said, we've known each other for so long, and we have all these mutual friends and mutual bandmates, and we see each other backstage at your thing or at my thing, or run into the NAMM show on the aisle. Hey. And I said, this is like bullshit. We've never spent more than like a 3-minute in passing thing.
Small
and we nailed it, and we had like what was going to be like a half an hour or an hour coffee, and it turned to like 3 hours. And
yeah.
I'm glad to realize that the man that I wanted you to be was the man that was having coffee with me.
Thank you.
And I just want to mention to you that I saw you in town when you were with the Helicasters with Steve. And you were a modest and humble guy, and it's okay, and we won't get you blushing, but I watched that show and I said, wow, this guy is like pound for pound the greatest guitar player I've ever heard. And you can never be compared to, whatever, a Hendrix or Wes Montgomery, but I said, just watching this one night, I mean, Bren Mason's fantastic, world class, one of the top ever country guys, but he can't do gypsy jazz the way you do gypsy jazz. He can't. Someone else can do a rock thing, but they can't do straight country. They can't do bluegrass. Yeah. And I just said, man, and I hadn't even seen the full spectrum of everything, but I could just tell by your playing, plus the artists and people I know that you were playing with.
Wow.
And I remember I went back to you afterwards and I said, you're not going to accept it if I tell you you're the best guitar player in the world. You're just going to aw shucks me, so I won't put you in that position, but I will tell you that you can go to sleep tonight knowing that no guitar player on earth played any better at anything. If there's a bluegrass festival, they're not playing better than you did. If there's a jazz thing,
Thank you so
I
much.
sincerely meant that, man.
That's so kind.
And I've said that to other people when I'm describing you. I'm just amazed at both the passion and the simplicity of your playing. You have all the fire, and some people, they're all fire, and they're like that. You can't, they're stampeding when they play. You have that much passion and fire in your playing, but you also have control and form, and you know when to turn it on, be it in a bluegrass situation, and you also know when to just set something up.
Well,
and I just think
thank you so much.
That is so uniquely you.
Well, I learned, I always loved guitar parts, not just soloing and all that kind of stuff, but I love the sound of the guitar parts and Beatles records and Rolling Stones and Byrds and the Buffalo
You
Springfield.
sat there forever like,
You know, that was all
Really
that
got it right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was the first stuff that I learned, you know, you know, those parts are not necessarily flashy or hard or anything, but they sound so good, you know. And I grew up also in orchestras too, playing in band and orchestra, so I kind of had, I guess, I just got an
also
idea
a
in my
master
mind.
clarinet player, but we won't go there.
I just got in my mind how I love orchestration, and I love how parts fit together. And I used to try to deconstruct records, you know, and figure out why the Beach Boys harmonies sounded like they did, you know, and what made the Byrds sound like they did.
Probably kind of why I was saying in my room by myself, how can I get all those voices in my head out of this thing?
Yeah.
Did you kind of have that thing too?
Yeah. And it just, you know, so I do love, you know, simplicity as much as complexity, you know. I really do. I love the sound of simple, beautiful things, harmonies, and even though I play a fair amount of jazz, but it's really only recently that my ears have gotten used to the more extended jazz harmonies. You know, I've never been a huge fan of real outside jazz. I always kind of like more, well, less dissonant, I guess.
Yeah, I'm that way too. I respect jazz. I've never sort of really gone there. And I'm a lefty playing right-handed.
Right.
So I think I'm not really wired for speed.
Well,
as Glenn Frey once said, then one can't play fast, better play tasty.
well, there you go.
So I'm just trying to make that my credo and hopefully pull that off. But I wanted to, so, you know, what were some of your main influences? Again, you're watching the Beatles.
Yeah, sure, Beatles. Yeah.
Trying to get some girls.
All those Beatles and Rolling Stones and Byrds, Buffalo Springfield, Santana.
Pardon?
Santana.
Yeah.
You know, Creedence, the Guess Who, all the stuff that was on the radio.
All the records.
And Humble Pie, Hendrix was a little scary at first, but I kind of warmed up to it. You know.
Very, very scary. Did you ever see Hendrix live?
No, I never got to see Hendrix live.
I used to see Hendrix all the time. I mean, I knew him like, hi Jimmy, going by. It's Steve Paul's The Scene in New York City.
Oh yeah.
And there was the Whiskey in the West Coast, and there was The Scene. And every band came in, he worked out a deal where you came into The Scene, you played them, they did the record company, and then you were like, you know, an indentured servant for a week.
Right.
You know, and then you kind of worked your way, you know, whatever, stolen rental cars, and worked your way down to the Whiskey. But Hendrix always, and after 2 o'clock, it just turned to this informal after-hours club for musicians. So people would always be coming down and hanging out. And they'd have these incredible jams with, you know, it'd be like Felix from the Rascals, and Stevie Winwood, and, you know, Ginger Baker, and all these amazing combinations of people. And Hendrix always had a guitar that he left down there.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, I'd be standing, you know, like 6 feet away from him listening to him. It was just amazing. And the guy could play lefty, righty, upside down. You know, it was just one of those things. He was just wired. He was like musically like a heat-seeking missile.
Right.
You know, he just went to wherever that muse was sending him. He didn't care the guitar was in tune or anything, what amp it was. He could just do it. It was just awesome.
Well, I'm jealous of that.